Hey guys and girls, just thought I'd do a live stream to you guys today, just on what is happening out there in the crypto world. So I've made a few little notes here, just on things that are happening in our centrally controlled world that we live in. So in this week we've seen just some crypto go down, obviously, of the course of today and the last few days, which is really interesting. Just going to start from the top, made some notes here. First and foremost, if Bitcoin was a company, it probably would have been shut down and the owners of it would have been arrested just due to the fact of what it provides to humanity. So if we look at how our whole world is centrally controlled. We look at our 12-year government indoctrination camp, which I didn't do too good at. It wasn't meaning because I was dumb, it was just that I didn't want to be indoctrinated by fitting in to be a good little slave. Everything that we're seeing is being controlled and manipulated, whether it be your media. I've never really noticed how poorly, things can be delivered and how biased the media that we actually see comes to us. So if we look at all the reports from CNBC, just go have a look at CNBC, go have a look at our friends over at the AFR or whatever the case it is. What we're seeing is only negative press from centrally controlled systems, negative press from central banks, negative press from the governments. And I guess what that means is that it's not beneficial for them. They're all in each other's pockets. We go and look at centrally controlled Facebook, which I'm streaming this from, which could be seen as hate speech. But the reality of it is that Google is banning crypto ads. So YouTubers, I don't claim money on YouTube or anything like that. I just put my content out there for the fun of it. But YouTubers are being demonetized because they're, talking about crypto. That's the freedom of speech that everyone's losing. Google ads are banning crypto advertisements, but at the same time, their centralized friends can talk about financial stuff. The centralized banks can talk about financial things. And that's just the world we live in, is that your freedom of speech is getting ripped off you every single day, guys, every single day. You look at centralized PayPal, who hates crypto, this week went and patented, or whatever you call it, tongue twister today, they've patented the rights for the word crypto. And as PayPal, they hate it, it's against them. But why would they want to do that for? Because they're just trying to control it. I just find it very interesting for the level of suppression that's being controlled. So we've got here, we've looked at things like Uber. Uber has delivered us, beforehand the commies and the government have charged a fee to taxi drivers, people that want to go and earn an honest living by driving people from one location to another location. They try and charge them $500,000 a year for a number plate, so they are allowed to drive their car that they pay rego and insurance on the road, and then have to pay the taxes. They have to pay for a taxi plate. Uber's come in and totally game changed that, and that's what crypto and blockchain has the ability to do, is to deliver that from every other aspect. Instead of taking away your freedom of speech, instead of taking away your ability to advertise or do whatever, there's now platforms out there on the blockchain which are making things so much better. Everything that we've got in our centralized world that we live in is being done better. The internet can educate you better than the schooling system. There's more information out there than what you ever would have learned with your Pythagoras theorem at school that you hated. So it's very interesting. The other thing to look at is, if I find it very interesting, if we were to see, I think that crypto is being manipulated massively from the actual central systems. From every week, the media coming out to report just shit about it. They don't talk about the benefits of it. They don't educate you on the benefits of it. They don't talk about how it can actually improve your life, make your life better, and all that sort of stuff. They just talk about the negativities of it. So that just shows me how manipulated our system that we live in is. But if we're looking at the stock market, if the stock market was to collapse, and I've talked about the GFD of recent times, I've talked about how the financial system's a mess, and the only way out of it is to hyperinflate, which we will see. I'm very confident, I'm 100% confident of it. Just depends how manipulated it actually gets before it implodes upon itself. But crypto markets are being, if the stock market fell and the crypto market didn't, well then that'd be a very interesting thing to see just in itself. Yesterday I was sitting at home and I was bored because I was a bit tired and I need to have a snooze. I was just sitting there flicking through Facebook, and I noticed that they've now changed the algorithm on Facebook for videos to be more important, hence why I'm going to try and put out some more videos for you guys. But inside the videos that I was watching like 5-minute videos on just random stuff being built and stuff like that. What was occurring is that there's about 3 or 4 videos, 3 or 4 ads within like a 5-minute video that you have to go watch for 5 seconds, and Facebook would be getting paid on that. However, they're taking your data, like Facebook is taking your data, which is what you look at, what you're watching, and try to program you, feed you full of this stuff, but they're not feeding you through. So the point that I'm questioning is these centralized systems are making money from your data. You're not getting anything in return for it apart from being fed more ads, and from those ads it's totally controlled. So if we're being controlled just from a position of centralized systems saying that it's illegal to do general mathematics by sending an email basically across a blockchain, so sending one bit of information to another person doing a mathematical equation, if that is so bad and so sensitive, what other things in our lives have been hidden from us to be where we are today? This is just an interesting point for your Sunday afternoon. There is them out there. I'll talk about the decentralized opportunities on this front, and just looking at what's happening out in the news. There's lots and lots of good resources out there for real crypto news. There's a website called CCN, which is a coin website with news. There's another website which is Cointelegraph. There's a few out there where you can actually get proper, real news as what's happening out there in the community. I guess the question that I've got for you guys, now it's over to you. Do you guys have any questions to ask me for today, or anything that you would like me to discuss? I've got a couple of mates here. Any questions, anything I should talk about, guys? All right. I might leave it over I might end it now, but just looking at it, it just amazes me, these centralized systems that are attacking decentralized systems, and I just find it humorous. That's purely the whole point of this experiment of Be Decentralized, is to uncover, the actual real world of what we live in, and how controlled we are, and how we can actually get to another level of freedom. Personal viewpoints. I had a few people ask me this week, what do I see happening to the crypto space and the prices in the markets out there? I never like to really comment exactly. I can see a lot of likes going up now. Everyone's smashing up the likes. Keep them coming. But what do I see forecast? I think that there's a lot of bargains out there. I think that the whole marketplace is being manipulated. Is this a bottom, or is there further to go? I think that there is another level of... I just saw another question here. I think there's a level of manipulation happening out there in the marketplace. I wouldn't be surprised if we see it come a little bit lower than what it currently is. And always look for bargains out there. I've got a question here. Have I gone off property? No, I haven't. This week I was looking at a block of units to purchase and acquire, and I'm actually looking at how I can use two different asset classes to get ahead further without using centralised systems once again, and using crypto in a way to build wealth and put that back into property and reinvest over and over again. So am still very active in the property market, but I just like other things. I've always invested into other things, whether it be business, whether it be commodities, and I continue to do so. So any other questions for anyone over there? I'll just go back to my notes. I think I've covered off all that I had in my notes today. Basically, I think that the whole market's being manipulated by media out there. I do not see, just recapping, I do not see any positive sort of messages coming out there from the media where, as we've seen, Airbnb has been a big advancement in, the way that individuals do business with renting out their property. We've seen Uber give the power back to people. People can go and earn an income without having to beg for a job, etc., etc. We've seen websites like eBay give opportunity for people to sell stuff, build themselves an income, and technology has evolved over the last 20 years, and we've got the biggest threat to the centralised system here of all time with blockchain and crypto, and it's a very interesting time, very, very interesting time. So when you get scared of what's happening with the prices on a day-to-day value, I couldn't care if Bitcoin's at 10 grand, $1 million, or $10. It's the underlying fundamentals of what the technology can do to improve our day-to-day lives and humanity for the betterment. The last thing is I brought it up last week and touched on it. Mt. Gox sell-off is proposed to be stalled till September. Whether that's true or not, who knows? But as I said, be careful, keep an eye out on it. Keep an eye out on the fact that whilst crypto ads are being banned on Facebook, crypto ads are being banned on Google, which are very, very centralised. I reckon for Google and for Facebook to become businesses to where they are today, that they would have had their shit stolen from the government and from the system multiple times over and been raided for information and whatever, that they have to comply. They have to comply. It's like an extortion racket that runs them. But they're allowed to, cancel crypto stuff, but actually promote banks giving dividends, other investment vehicles, stock firms, so on and so forth. But no one's allowed to talk about general mathematics. Sure, there is a lot of scams out there that are running in the crypto space, and that's why it's important to educate yourself and just keep educating yourself on what is out there and how not to get burned. I'm just reading a question here from Johnny. Nath, where do you see the crypto market in the next 12 months? Look, I think that I was actually thinking about this last night. I think that if all the steam goes out of the market, it's probably the best thing that could happen, because the actual techies that are out there and the developers and whatnot have the opportunity to go and actually do their job and make the world a better place by working on actual projects. The projects that are being developed out there in the marketplace, I've investigated a lot of them, and there's so much sort of potential and so many cool things that are out there which are really going to change the way, if they're adapted and adopted to day-to-day life. It's like the making of having the new Google and the new Facebook and the new everything out there. So I think that from pricing, I would expect to see that they'll go up. There has been many times, if you're just new to crypto and you're getting scared that it's gone down half from 2 months ago, do remember that if you're looking at Dash at $1,000, if you're looking at Ethereum at $1,000, if you're looking at Bitcoin at 20 grand, which they're not anymore because they've come down a bit, they've got them down 50%. The reality of it is that Dash was trading at $16 at the start of 2017. Ethereum was like $8 at the start of 2017. Bitcoin came into 2017 with a price of $960, I think, from memory. These coins have gone up a lot. Like, some of them have gone up 1,000%. Some of them have gone up by 100%. Some of them have gone up, you know, Lisk was 13 cents or 31 or 13 cents at the start of last year. Now Lisk is like $20 and it's come down from like $40. The reality of it is that there has been a lot of gain over the course of the last 12 months, and I think that we will continue to see growth, but it's going through a consolidation phase. There's been phases where Bitcoin has gone backwards by, you know, $1,000 down to $200 and sat there for 12 months, and, you know, people thought it was the end of the world. I think there's a website called Bitcoin Obituaries or something where the media's come out and actually said that Bitcoin has died probably about 150 times. So it's an interesting one there to go and look at. So I think it's called Bitcoin Obituaries. I've got a question here from Phil. In your opinion, do you think the property will be hit as hard in the event of a stock market collapse? So I don't know what's happening. Lost all my questions and the screen's going funny here. What do I see happening in the event of a stock market collapse? I think we're actually seeing ramifications of the actual banks and the central banks. I'm just having a look here at another comment which I'll get to in a second. I think we're seeing ramification of the actions that the central banks are taking in order. We're seeing ramifications at the moment. The market out in the property market is a buyer's market. If we look pre-GFC, I was picking up properties and I loved that time in the property market due to the fact that there wasn't many people out there buying properties, and I went through a big accumulation phase. When the GFC hit, the ramifications of their support, they're doing a lot of stimulus packages and whatnot, and property benefited greatly from the stimulus packages. Stimulus packages were first homeowner grants being introduced. Stimulus packages came in the form of the RBA cash rate coming down from 7.25% down to 3% in a period of 5 months, and that all stemmed for the property market to take off. What we've got to remember is that if interest rates went up by 1%, interest rates on the property, basically everyone would get fucking hurt badly. But if we saw interest rates go up by 1%, we'd actually see a lot of companies fail as well, because a lot of companies, governments and whatnot have debt attached to them also. So yeah, as for a GFC style event happening anytime soon, I think it's very well on the cards. As for property faring out of it, I think property will do quite well. The ultimate role of the stimulus that would come from each one of these crashes will always result in inflation. Inflation from the central banks printing off more money, lowering interest rates, making money more easy to get, and that's why I love property for, and that's why I've done so well out of property. I've got a question here from Nathan. Look into a company called USI Tech and let me know your thoughts on it, please. Look, I have never invested into USI Tech, and I have a great understanding of what it quite well is. There was recently a company out there called BitConnect, and yeah, basically, sorry, go on YouTube about the BitConnect thing, you'll understand what that is. But BitConnect went down in burning flames for being a Ponzi scheme, and USI Tech looks very similar. Obviously, it's a company in existence and it hasn't been proven as a Ponzi scheme, but I recently saw some article, it was on Channel 9 or 60 Minutes or something, that showed of USI Tech being asked to a guy if it's a scam. Everyone's talking about USI Tech being fantastic and whatever, but as I always say, going back 6 months ago, half the people talking about crypto were being a builder, were being a personal trainer, were being a network marketer, were selling Amway, were driving taxis or whatever, and now they're an investment expert talking about crypto. Most of these regimes, as we'd call them, are basically pyramid selling. You go sign up people, you get a referral, and you earn a commission. So just be very careful of people spruiking these things. It is not something I would ever invest in. If someone posted that on my page and put like a link to their referral or whatever, I'd block them from the page, because I feel it's very similar to BitConnect from what I've understood. So on that note, I'll just have a look here. Thailand as well, is supporting crypto and ICOs. I think it was Thailand or potentially Vietnam that came out this week. I saw it on the news from like crypto news, not CNBC, that tell you how to be a commie. They're actually talking about how the crypto market is becoming more popular and more money being invested in their country than in their own stock market. Thai regulators have reportedly agreed to enact 2 separate laws on cryptocurrencies and initial coin offerings. They will regulate crypto businesses, the purchase and sale of cryptocurrencies, as well as their own taxation. There's a lot of regulation happening out there in the markets at the moment. Regulation just generally means that the governments try and claw their fingers into being able to tax people and extort people to take money out of their hands and the profits that they make to be able to tax it. So I think that's why a lot of FUD is happening at the moment. Question here from Anthony. There's no dig by all means, but someone who has accumulated property over the past 10 to 12 years greatly benefit from solid growth throughout the period. How are you... I can't seem to open up the question here. I can't seem to open up the question from you there, Anthony. But yeah, look, property, a lot of people are asking me why I'm talking about other asset classes. Doesn't mean I have to just invest in the property. Doesn't mean that I can't invest into other assets. I'm just trying to get up at the moment the rest of your question. But I've invested into commodities, I've invested into businesses, I've invested into crypto assets, I've invested into all different I've got a good question here. I've invested in all different areas. So how am I protecting my assets? Look, I think that being exposed, I've always talked about 3 things when it comes to property: buy below market value, have upside for growth, have a strong cash flow. So the reason being is that when I quit my job in 2009, 2010, which was in the midst of the GFC. Most people were scared of their job and all that sort of stuff at that time. I created that strategy of investing in those assets with those certain parameters, because if the market was to go backwards and I'm picking it up below market value, it'd have to drop by 20% for me to actually lose some money. Having a good cash flow, if the property is looking after itself, I don't have to go and put money into it every day of the week in order to support it. So if the property market stayed flat for 10 years, it wouldn't affect me. If the property market dropped by 50%, it wouldn't affect me. If the rents went down a certain amount, it wouldn't affect me. If interest rates went up 2 or 3%, it wouldn't affect me. If interest rates went up 2 or 3%, the whole system would be in big trouble. What I think, and obviously by all means, as I always say, this is not financial advice and I'm not your financial advisor, but I think this is a time to ensure that you have your house of cards in order. Make sure that you're not taking on heavily negative geared debts, buying stupid shit on finance like cars and furniture and credit cards and whatnot. Make sure that you've got cash at hand and have a buffer or war chest of cash or liquidable assets which wouldn't just drop by 50% overnight at hand. So if you could get through 12 months with no job, that would be a very good place to start. Being able to cover all your expenses, having cash at hand, etc., etc. If you don't have that position, that's okay, but make sure that you've sort of got the right assets at hand, whether it be, having commodities, crypto. Obviously, we can see it goes up and down like a yo-yo. I think it's great. I think there's great strategies to be able to adopt where you can invest money into crypto and then potentially use it to pay down your debt, which is what I'm using it for a part of my strategy. Got a question here. In saying that, would now be a good time to buy property, and what would your loan over valuation be? Look, a lot of property questions coming in. I think that it's still a good time to buy property. There's always bargains out there. Buy with caution. I'm still buying properties, as I said earlier on this live stream. Looking at properties this week for myself. I've always talked about having 20% deposit down and not going over the 80% threshold. For some people, it's okay to do so, but it's important to speak to someone that understands, finance and whatnot, and giving you a position as to be able to advise on that. But I like putting down 20% deposits, and that's just a nice safety buffer to have in place. So on that front, I think I'm going to wrap up today's live stream. I'm going to go back and do some proper filming. I'm making some videos out there to help deliver content to you guys, as always, to spread the news and spread the love on crypto. One last question here. You day trading? Got any bots going? If so, which one? I do day trade a little bit, but day trading in crypto space is a bit of a it's not in my comfort zone. It's not in my comfort zone. I don't like to day trade crypto. I am a buy and holder. I do have different investment vehicles that I use in crypto to minimize risk, which is minimizing risk from owning big data centers, having properties that are data centers. I invest into the hardware, so I'm buying coins that are below market value, as I do with my property. If I can pick up a Bitcoin for 10 grand a day that was 20 grand last week, it's still below market value, but if I can make that Bitcoin for 6-7 grand, then I'm much more happier to do that. And if all shit hits the fan, I can actually sell the hardware off and I'm holding an asset rather than a bit of code that's more riskier. Also, masternodes are something that's really exciting from my side. Got a few of them that are set up, and different type of masternodes out there which are cool. Just having a look here. When do you think is a good time to invest in a crypto? And do you think it's better to have more established coins such as Bitcoin or Ethereum, or cheaper coins? I'll answer that one for you, Josh. Look, I think that it's always a good time to invest in crypto. And apart from, if you having a crystal ball is always, the thing that hindsight's a wonderful thing. If we look back in 2009, that would have been the best time to invest, but no one would have understood what it was. If you were investing into it in December, you'd be hurting right now. Do I know what will happen to it tomorrow? No, because that's the wonderful thing about a free market. A free market is the market setting the price, so people have the ability. I think the network effect of people understanding what crypto is, people understanding how to use it, people understanding the freedom and liberty that it gives you, will ultimately push those prices up. I don't think that people holding on to it just to invest and speculate is really what's going to take it to the moon. The coins that I like to invest in, I like to have a mixed portfolio. I do hold Bitcoins and Ethereum and whatnot up the top end of the food chain. However, I like spreading it across the whole board. What I've found is some of the shittest projects ever, people get a bit of hype behind and they pump the price up. I don't like Tron. I've never been a fan of that. I would never have invested into it. You can make money. If you look at Ripple, I've seen people that have had it at $5. It's gone up to $5 or something, and it was like 1 cent last year. So if you're holding Ripple, you could have financially done well, but Ripple, I think, is the shittest coin that you'll ever find, and it's a disgrace to humanity, so I don't invest into it. I had some, and I sold it, and I was very happy with my decision to sell it a long time ago and not take it all the way to the heights that it went to. But I do like projects that have got good fundamentals to them, good solid fundamentals. So, and this ain't speaking of a specific coin, but you got projects out there that, like Civic, for example, that look after identity. You've got protocols out there like Ethos, which is a decentralized exchange. So as the commies keep fucking with the ability for people to transfer money in and out of the markets, you've got EOS, which is a big one, which is like a bit of an Ethereum. You've got high performance blockchain, which is like a Chinese version of Ethereum, of EOS and Ethereum. Those sort of protocols, I think there's going to be a lot of projects built in on the top of them. So I think it's important that everyone does their own research on the actual projects that are out there before they start investing into it. So, but on that note, I can see that my phone has only got about 1% battery left on it, so I've got a jet. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and remember to hit that like button and share it with your friends, and to keep putting comments below on what you'd like me to talk about in the future. We'll catch up soon. Have an awesome day.